like I've missed out on a lot because this has been quite an eventful week. So I'm sure it's going to be quite a show as well.
Yeah, quite a bit has happened since then, but we're going to talk about most of it. We also have Scribe Light with us. How you doing?
Doing all right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Also like to wish a happy birthday to my father. Turns 81 today. And
wow.
So happy
Well,
birthday
happy birthday, Scribe Dad.
Mm-hmm. Papa Scribe.
Papa Scribe. And we have Chris from Bleeding Fool. How you doing?
Hey, doing great. We had a fantastic show with the two bald bros on Wednesday. Sorry if you missed it, but it was the greatest. Today will be even greater.
Is the greatest of all time. Anyhow, yes, we got some stuff to talk about. We got some super chats to get started with this morning. Why don't you take this one on?
Certainly. So, starting us off today is Grimzilla, who says for $5, this has become the Martin Luther King moment of this generation. Rest in peace to a good and family man. The left proved they don't want debate, they demand submission or else. So, this I feel may be a recurring theme today. Because, that was quite a thing, executed in front of the world. And I am certainly very happy to see all the positivity that has come out of it. And some
it's not the first time a generation has seen something like this.
No.
But I think that the thing that's different is the celebrating. Like, I don't even remember the celebration like this when Saddam Hussein got it. I mean, there was some shit that was said and some jokes made, but not to, this is just disgusting because this guy's an American, a family guy. You know, he's one of us. He's not some foreign enemy, right? Like, to me, it's insane the reaction that people are having.
It's ghoulish. Yeah, it's gross. And you can really tell a lot about people by the way they respond to somebody's death. Yep.
I said this yesterday. There's a phrase that comes to mind that doesn't exactly apply to the situation, but it's the best one I can come up with in a way. Usually used during an economic downturn when all the Ponzi schemes are exposed once the market starts dropping. It says, when the tide goes out, you know who's not wearing a bathing suit. And the only thing I could come up with as an equivalent is, when true evil calls, its celebrants can't help but answer. And the amount of it reminds me a lot of the death cult attitude we were seeing during the lockdown, salivating over people's deaths depending on which side of the medical decision debate you are on. It really disheartens me. I don't think it's any more or less than you would have seen, say, when Martin Luther King was killed if there had been social media at the time. I think you would have seen similar stuff there, too. It's just easier to broadcast yourself.
Well, I compared it to Malcolm X as well. Like, I think either applies here. And I know some people are, resistant to it. It's like, no, he was not doing anything different than those guys were doing.
Yeah.
Right? And we're in a similar political, world right now that we were in at that moment in time, from my understanding. Now, I wasn't alive then.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done enough research and know enough about it that this is the closest I can expect it was like, because that's the last time we've ever had anything like this outside of attempted, presidential assassinations here and there, like with Reagan and recently Trump.
Martin Luther King.
That's the other, that's what I'm saying, is that's the last time in history we had anything like this, really. I mean, sure, there's been a few things here and there, but usually it's some outside force and has little or nothing to do with their politics, right? This is just, it strikes a different chord, and it's the closest thing I can imagine what it was like being alive during the civil rights movement.
I think the biggest part of it is the contrast between the victim and the killer, because and I said this the other night on my show, you couldn't ask for, and not in a good way that it happened, but you can ask for a better metaphor for what you actually face in this world. You have someone sitting in an open auditorium with the sunlight on them, talking to people, microphone in his hand, and you got some coward skulking in the shadows with a rifle, just trying to shut him up. It's
And a bunch of other
it's-
cowards cheering him on afterwards.
Yeah, and a bunch of other cowards cheering on. It's the worst. I mean, it's the worst possible thing you could imagine, but it also kind of helps underline what we have to be wary of, and also what we have to cherish.
It's a
So,
lot
yeah,
like
so they-
that Luigi Mangione. Remember the guy that shot the CEO in the back of the head, and all the same cretins and creeps and cowards all cheered for that.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's really strange. It's sort of this.
I think that's a different thing, though. I don't think that the two situations quite compare.
I just think it's
Because
the
that's-
same people cheering, though. Do you know what I mean? It's the same people that are like, "Well, that CEO deserved to die."
I see the similar, like, I see where I see what you're saying, Chris, as far as the ghoulish cheering on of it. And
Yeah, that's
and
what
that's kind of why I
I
brought
think
up.
yeah, I think that because the thing with the CEO, I think there may have been more people that were cheering that on, right? Because the CEO, all of the left cheered that on, as well as a substantial part of the right and the center. Because that was in a way like non-political. He was killed not because he was on a certain part of the political aisle,
Yeah.
but because he was one of the heads in the pharmaceutical industry,
Yeah.
which many people have been screwed by, regardless of political colors and stuff like that. So I think that is more people. I mean, I'm not saying that anyone should have cheered that on,
Right.
but people cheered that on all sides of the spectrum. I bet that of the people that were big fans of Charlie Kirk, there's going to be a big
Okay.
overlap
No,
of
I
his
see what you're
fans
saying.
yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
if there were a Venn diagram politically, especially
Yes.
after
This
a
is kind
gun
of what I
run.
was referring to earlier, where we've had other killings of important people, but not. It's usually some outside force that has nothing to do with just some random.
Exactly,
you know,
but this
like
thing
this.
is much more extreme because this was someone who he could have been president. I mean, I think that if Charlie Kirk had lived, inside of the next 20 years, he would have been president of the United States.
At least a candidate.
Exactly. I just imagine his young fan base right now, give it another 10, 15 years, and then he'd mobilize his fans in a new generation. I mean, it'd be like a Trump-like movement all over again. He is someone that could carry on the MAGA torch way after Trump.
Well, and don't think that's not
that's not up here. That's
and
like
that's what I was going to say, and that's why
talking.
they went after him. Let's not, let's not beat around the bush here. They knew he was. What they didn't expect, I think, was the type of reaction they got from this, and they're almost tempting the right. Like that's really what it feels like at this point. And some of the taunting and the other nonsense that's going along with it. It's like, you guys are poking a bear. And I said this the other day on George's stream. I said, this one thing I will say about the conservatives is they are very conservative, even when it comes to showing off their emotions or, retaliating, because they don't want to disrupt the status quo. They don't want shit to go bad for their wives and families, right? They don't want their kids to have to see any bullshit. They don't want their kids to have to worry about any bullshit. Right. That's the only reason Civil War didn't pop off the other day, right? Let's be honest. That's the only reason we didn't have cities burning to the fucking ground the other day. Yeah. Like, I can't imagine what had happened had that bullet actually hit Trump, right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, yesterday, the last few days here have been kind of a reminder of it could have been a lot worse. If they would have got Trump, we would have been in the middle of a civil war right now, because I think that's something that would have definitely pushed it over the edge. But this is where we're getting. We have a Malcolm X situation here, but we haven't had a JFK or a Martin Luther King situation yet. Right, like that's where I think that we're still kind of on that teetering point with this whole thing, and I don't like it. I've never lived in a world like this before, where I remember a world where we all equally hated Republicans and Democrats. Like that's the world I grew up in. Yeah. Like they're all pieces of shit. Like we just deal with them and we vote for the least worst of the bunch. Usually, that's kind of how it worked out.
Yep. After seeing that gruesome killing of Irina Zarutska earlier in the week, And then this equally horrifying killing of Charlie Kirk day before yesterday. It just really unsettled me. I honestly could not. I woke 2 or 3 times, vacillating between anger and distress and just sadness for where we are. With the Ukrainian refugee, I think what bothered me the most was all those people with the Ukraine flags in their social media weren't talking about this girl.
Yeah.
You know, that bothered me a lot. Feminists weren't standing up for her or any sort of remembrance for her. And then the ghouls who came out with mockery and celebrating and cheering when this fella, Charlie Kirk, was killed. I thought, if I had seen, and you mentioning the Donald Trump assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, reminded me, Tom, if I had seen a bullet strike, I don't know, some of my least favorite politicians, Lindsey Graham, Barack Obama, anybody, Elizabeth Warren, I would have had immediate revulsion, you know, and shock and horror at that. So to have a reflexive knee-jerk reaction of cheerfulness that this father of 2, this husband, who only engaged in nonviolent dialogue, you know, and he would just talk and debate the way that this country should be sort of central to the foundation of our democracy. That's all he was engaged in, whether you agreed with him or not. It really, really set me back and unsettled me for a good 24 to 48 hours. It's sort of the response. And I know that you mentioned social media. We wouldn't see any of this without social media. And of course, social media, I think, gives a lot of people, it's almost like when you would say liquid courage when someone was drinking. It's like you almost have sort of this digital courage to say things on social media that you probably wouldn't say face to face. But some of the things, people are uploading videos of themselves, and all these teachers coming out and saying the things they're saying.
I have to say, I really appreciate that, though, because
Yeah.
that way they can be rooted out.
Yes, it has
fired.
revealed a real rot that needs to be rooted out. I agree.
And this time it actually
Exactly.
feels like people are actually taking some responsibility for it, right? Like, we've seen a few of them now. In fact, we've got another video coming out where, I mean,
Stephen King is one.
well, here I've kind of debated on this as far as, like, look, I don't agree with cancel culture. I don't like cancel culture. Like, even the incident with the dude bro chick thing that got fired from DC. Like, I'm glad that, the books that were finished, the artists and all the other people that were working on them probably got paid already. But here's the stupidity of that shit and what the idiots on the left and other people don't think about when they put their foot in their mouth and they do stupid shit like this. That book getting canceled now has cost how many other people their jobs? Now, granted, yes, they did have a few books done already, so they did get paid for a few, and they'll probably get work in the meantime. I'm not saying they won't. But it's that stupidity that people don't think about. Yeah, it's one thing if you're a teacher or if you're hurting yourself in this situation, because I've heard of a few teachers who have already been let go. And yes, if you're somebody who's in front of children and you're cheering on the death of a human being, what the fuck are you doing in that job? You can go flip burgers. Like, there's this fine line between,
Sure.
and part of it I feel like is, it is kind of a, you now you're seeing the consequences of cancel culture.
Right.
You called it consequence culture, remember?
Yep.
And this is the consequences of your actions, especially if you're cheering on the death of a fellow American on social media, right? Because that's taken it even to the extreme farther than anything we've seen before through all the COVID bullshit and everything else. Sure, they were saying, oh, you're killing grandma and all that other kind of stuff. But here we actually have the death of a human being, and people are treating it like it's a sporting event.
Well, again, that's nothing new. That was happening during the pandemic, because everybody was, like I said, cheering on the idea that somebody may have died because they made the opposite decision to their position.
Yes, there was a few
vaccine.
of those.
But
I'm not going to say there wasn't, but yeah.
Here's the line that I'm not. This isn't anybody on the panel or anything, but this is a line I want to make sure we're all kind of on the same page with. I defend every death cheer of Charlie Kirk the right to say what they're saying.
See, that's where I have a thing too.
I defend their right to say it. That everybody should have the ability to express whatever they want to say about a subject, even something as vile as that, because that's the daylight that we need to bad ideas, or to people having the opportunity to expose their true character, whether we agree with it or not. Now, whether or not particular employers want to keep people on who have those sentiments, that's up to them. And I respect their right, whether it's DC or a school district or anybody else, to say, maybe we don't want someone who's cheering on the death of innocent people on our employee. That's up to them. But it's the same old Voltaire quote. I may not agree with what you say, sir, but I will defend to the death your right to say.
Right.
So
and that's where I
just want to make sure that we're remembering that.
No, and I'm with you on that. And that's where I'm kind of having this tug of war inside,
right.
Where it's like,
it's not easy. It's not easy to have to it's a principle that's very difficult to stand by, especially when someone is saying something so odious. When you see that video from TMZ when the announcement was made that he died, and you hear all the interns in the background cheering. It's like your stomach churns at the idea that anybody could be that inhumane at all, especially in a situation where this wasn't an act. This wasn't like on the battlefield. This wasn't some act of self-defense. This was a guy sitting there expressing the ability and the freedom to exchange ideas freely in a peaceable manner, and having his life completely taken away from his family and from the world and everything else. And yet people are cheering. I would not want to spend 1 minute in the same room with people who would celebrate such a thing. At the same time, I don't want them to have their ability to speak their minds curtailed in any way, shape, or form.
Speak it wherever they want. No, they can go wherever they want. They can go on social media. They can say it at work. They can say it wherever they want. I don't have a problem with that, but I also have no sympathy for when the Human Resources Department or the legal department says, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
We're not a good fit anymore, so thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is actually what I appreciate about this.
Yeah.
And I mean, even around the world, this is having repercussions. As I posted in the video, or as I put in the video that I released yesterday, where I spoke about, like, there's even this Norwegian politician that was laughing about the death of Charlie Kirk. Guess who's no longer a Norwegian politician? Teaser for our upcoming video.
Wow.
So so this is having repercussions all over the world, because it is so clear for everyone to see. Here you can make a claim that this person deserved to die because of this and that. I mean, Stephen King, the author Stephen King, that asshat just said? That asshat just claimed that Charlie Kirk advocated stoning gays to death. He put that in social media.
Yeah,
Stephen King. Yes,
and he's now had to retract it. Yeah, he put out a
he had to retract it, but still, but that means nothing. He
No.
put that out there. He exposed himself and his unbelievable hatred. And same thing with absolutely everyone else who goes on social media. I agree with you completely. They have the right to say it. I want them to say it.
Yes.
And I want every single teacher to be exposed for it, because this is how you kind of like heal the culture. People who really feel the way that they do, they can't just shut up and sit inside with it and just feel that resentment burn. That's how you have some people that's going to take a gun and do something weird, right?
Yeah.
No, they need to be confronted on their disinformation. And that's what Charlie Kirk was doing. He went to college campuses and he debated with people. And what was it that he actually did? He countered the disinformation that they have been thought to believe, and just taught them the error of their ways. That's what he did. That's why he's so influential. And many have opined that is why Gen Z is so conservative. It's because of him, very, very much so, because between all the social media and all the reach of all his videos, all of these myths and everything that this guy is not the only one, but that he has addressed in a very public manner, that is educating people that were disinformed, that believed in a certain narrative, and he shattered that. And I think that more than anything else is why he is no longer with us. It's not that anyone disliked his opinions all that much, but he actually taught people to think for themselves and question narratives that they are told. That's what made him dangerous.
Well, it's a question of whether or not they disagreed with his opinions or were told what his opinions were false true or not, and then followed along with it. Yeah.
Case in point, the repulsive Stephen King, a man that I just grow to dislike him more and more and more.
Yeah. Yeah, he's confident and stupid. It's a sad combination.
Very sad combination.
Mm-hmm. I think too, part of maybe this ugly vitriol, it could be related to those on the left feeling like they have been helpless and losing. You know, you mentioned earlier the CEO, United Healthcare CEO getting shot, and people maybe even on the right kind of cheering or agreeing with it, or at least equivocating it. I think
across the board, people were cheering.
I think a lot of that might have been due to the pandemic and the vaccine mandates and healthcare and vaccine companies making all this money off the pandemic. So there was sort of this pent up helplessness that was released with that murder. And maybe there's been a pent up helplessness on the left with the aggressive nature of President Trump going into these cities, law and order, deporting illegal immigrants, and on and on and on, and his wins at the Supreme Court. And this sort of was a moment of reprieve for the left, right? This was sort of cathartic for them. And so they exposed themselves, and the cancerous tumors came to the surface and were much easier to spot in the wake of this.
Well, in the absence of better ideas or better solutions, what have we heard since even when Kamala Harris stood up and started calling Trump a fascist? All they've got is name calling.
Yep.
All they've got is hearkening back to the worst possible people of history to paint with that brush everybody on the opposite side of the equation, which is everybody who doesn't 100% agree with them. And if you've truly been trained, taught, or talked into thinking that the other side represents the worst possible elements of historical crime and villainy, it's not an excuse, but holy cats, where else are you going to go? That's all they got left.
Yeah,
when all they have no argument.
Yeah,
the Charlie Kirk getting shot is representative of the fact that there is no argument on the other side. They have nothing. They got nothing but that. That is their last resort. Just shut them up. I can't do it justice, but there's that. And I've never watched Game of Thrones. I know I lose my nerd card there. But there was that one quote from Tyrion Lannister is like, when you cut out a man's tongue, I can't even do it. You don't silence the man. You basically say you fear what he has to say. It's just, anyway. Go on.
I just wanted to pop on and make the comment that when people say disgusting things or have disgusting reactions to something like this, I think it makes it easier for both sides to make comments and say horrible things like this in the future. Because, and I'm only using this example because Charlie Kirk was one of the people who made a comment, was that there were people celebrating when Nancy Pelosi's husband was hit in the head with a hammer or something like that. And of course, the left was freaking out because the right was making a lot of comments that were not exactly supportive of the situation. He's an elderly man, so it's a soft spot in my heart.
Well, if I can, I don't remember anybody cheering, but what I remember is everybody calling bullshit on their narrative story that this was an attack, when everybody's like, nah, this is too fishy. Both of them are naked.
I do not. Yeah. I remember that well. There was a lot of laughter, and let me first say that I do not know entirely the truth of the situation, but there was a narrative that this guy, the attacker, was Paul Pelosi's, and again, I don't know for 100% that this is accurate, but this is the recurring story, that it was Paul Pelosi's gay nudist hippie lover and this dude apparently is some like nudist who like was married to like some other nudist who's known in the San Francisco community by the name of Gypsy Taub, something. I think it was like her husband or something like that, who's gay, and they had like this thing going on or something. So of course, no one condoned Paul Pelosi being hit in the head with a hammer, but it wasn't a MAGA supporter doing it or something like that. It was something that came from his own private life.
I'm not going to say there
And
wasn't
it
people
wasn't
that were
gonna happen with
laughing at it
normal
though.
people. So
I mean,
people were laughing. They were absolutely laughing.
Yeah.
And I
I'm
don't
not gonna say
think
they weren't.
think that anyone would have been laughing if he actually had died. But from as
That
far
we
as I
don't know,
know, and
but
then someone
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, he wasn't seriously injured. He lived to tell the tale. He just didn't want to because it was freaking embarrassing.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what I remember most about it. But, you know, Six may not be wrong that there probably were people that were making fun of it.
Well,
Oh, totally.
and
Absolutely. Six is 100% right about that. But it was a
but
situation
Charlie Kirk
where there were things to make fun of.
Charlie Kirk did say the attack was awful, and he decried the attack. But what people have misconstrued is he said, how come this guy's not out on bail and nobody's asking serious questions about what took place that night? And he said on one of his shows, the same show that he said the attack was awful and he didn't condone it in any way, he said somebody needs to be a patriot and go and bail this guy out and start asking him some questions. He said because the joke was that he was wondering why some people can go out and commit murder in Chicago and be out the next day on bail. Why is this guy still in jail?
And another thing about that, and again, I stress I don't know the full story here, but notice how very quickly that disappeared from the news.
Yeah.
How he did not become a martyr.
That's true.
How that did not become a rallying point for the left or for the Democrats, how that wasn't used in the election campaign or anything like that.
Right.
If there had been something that could be exploited, they would have exploited the hell out of it. Instead, it's like silence. And the only time it's ever brought up, it's in a completely controlled environment where no one is going to fact check or say anything about it. It's something that they didn't ever bring up ever again. And that to me tells me that there's something to this story that it was Paul Pelosi's gay nudist lover.
Maybe, but I think that allegedly. But another reason I think that it disappeared was initially it was being suggested that because it was Pelosi's husband, that it was a Republican or it was MAGA or something like that that had attacked it. And turned out,
yeah, and that was the narrative first, and then the news were all over it, and that gone.
Right. And now you're seeing a similar equivocation in the media about how there's this violence. You know, the conservatives say this violence, political violence is always in one direction. And they're trying to say, well, wait. You know, there's these two Minnesota Democrat shooting victims, you know, so that it goes both ways, but they keep leaving out that shooter, Vance Boltler, I think was his name, Bolt or something. He was an associate of Tim Walz and thought Tim Walz, the guy who was up for vice president, had basically told him to kill these people or something. The guy was a lunatic, but he wasn't a Republican and he wasn't MAGA. So it is all kind of going one way, it feels like.
There was another incident like where they caught the guy, I think about a month ago, where with the Minnesota state representative and her husband. Okay, that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
And that guy, the shooter, was somebody that used to work for Tim Walz.
Yep.
But that's the example they're using.
Because I think we can all agree, though, that no politician in any nation, no matter their political colors or party belonging, should be subject of any kind of violent attack.
I agree.
Well, the thing that I found that was weird about it was like people were bringing this up yesterday, and it's like, okay, well, this is like actually the first I'm hearing about it, right? So if anything, that's on the news, right? Because I don't remember hearing about this until yesterday.
You're talking about the Minnesota killings?
Yeah, I didn't even
Here's
know about
why,
it.
because initially it must be MAGA, it must be a Trump supporter. And once it doesn't support the narrative, Tom, they don't push it anymore. That is why the Ukrainian refugee getting killed in Charlotte wasn't being reported on when it happened last month. It only started getting reported on after a few conservative activists got a hold of the leaked security footage because it didn't fit whatever narrative, right? It was knife violence. It wasn't gun violence, right? It wasn't it was racially motivated or whatever. So I think when it doesn't fit the narrative, the media tends to bury it.
Yeah, let's get to some of these super chats here. We got a Rumble rant, actually. Kalekioki sends one on the Rumble side and says, "You're 100% right. Chris, a panelist on Side Scrollers, stated it perfectly. Kid brought a gun to a mic fight. When you have to kill somebody you've lost, they couldn't debate him, therefore kill him." Well, and I said this on X the other day. I find it very strange that most times when a conservative buys a gun, it's so they can hunt or protect their family or themselves. When somebody on the left buys a gun, it's just to fucking kill somebody.
Yep.
Like, I'm not saying it's a generalization, but it sure does seem to be the norm. Like,
yeah. Well, and you mentioned the Pelosi attacker. I'm sure that kid didn't buy a hammer to build a house.
No, shit. No, he just found it in the garage. Let's be real. That's all it was. That was the first thing he could find. Because they were probably fighting inside the house to begin with. Like, it's not like he broke in. Let's be real. That's why we're all questioning this shit. It's like, yeah, this is a lover's spat gone bad.
Felt like it, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we got this Grimzilla one, right? I think we did. Yeah, so thank you again, Grimzilla. And then we got Packing Protons for $20. So 24 years ago, Scott and Todd in the morning and WPLJ wrapped up a 26-hour 9/11 broadcast where they had to leave, I think, Open Plaza, but stayed in an empty building city to help keep people informed. That's my radio family. Yeah, there was a lot. Yeah. That week was crazy, I remember.
I remember it too, and I wasn't even in the US.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everyone else alive at the time, I can tell you exactly what I did the moment when you learned of the two towers falling. That's what's called a flashbulb memory in psychology.
Mm-hmm. And this is kind of one of those moments too. I agree. Yeah. Dr. Longdongler sent in a £1.99 with a thumbs up to remind you to pound that like button if you haven't done it already. There's almost 630 of you watching, so please do that. Wow. Mark Field says positive vibes to you all. Have a beautiful day. Well, hopefully we will. Hollywood Burns is in the house and says, can we agree the DOJ courts will block Paramount Warner Brothers sale from going ahead? Hey, let's talk about that in just a moment here.
Yeah.
Mark Field sent in a $1.99 and says, hail to the wrenches. Hail panel.
Oh, yeah.
Hail to you, Mark. And then we got Grimzilla who says, has the left awoken a sleeping giant and filled him with a terrible resolve? I don't know. See, and this is kind of what I've been saying earlier, too, is that this is why we don't have burning cities. Because the right they're too conservative on this stuff. They don't want to shake things up.
I think we might be over the preferred pronouns business, though. I think
there's certain things that we are. Don't worry about that. But
yeah.
Let's be real. This is what South Park has been about this whole season. Is woke is dead. That last episode, Walk is dead. And did anybody else watch it? Because the whole episode was to lead up to where they could just basically say on screen that Trump is Satan. Yeah. Trump is fucking Satan is what it is. It's the joke because he's literally fucking Satan. But that's so the whole episode, everybody can go, Trump is fucking Satan. You know, because like it's just like Trump is fucking Hitler. Like that's basically the joke at this point. And that's what I was telling people. Just wait, they'll get there. But now this Charlie Kirk thing, I think, derailed everything. So we'll see how that...
I don't even know that who knows what's going to happen with that. What I will say about this particular thing, though, the left has awoken a sleeping giant and filled him with terrible resolve. There's two ways to interpret that, and Grimzilla, I do not mean this as a slight on you in any way, shape, form whatsoever. But I hope that one way to interpret this does not happen, because that means civil war.
Yeah,
because that means that now suddenly the right wants payback on the left, and that shouldn't be the goal at all. What needs to happen is that the people who have been completely disinformed, like Stephen King, who thought that Charlie Kirk advocated stoning gays, they need to be confronted with the error of their ways and accept the fact that they have indeed been disinformed. They're not misinformed. They're disinformed. They have been told lies. And they need to come to terms with that and learn the reality of what is actually going on. The only people that needs to be the subject of a terrible resolve are the people who are behind that disinformation.
Mhm.
That's not the average people on the left. Far from it. That's some really nefarious people who are behind all the DEI and everything like that. They need to be subject to some terrible resolve, but not average people on the left.
Yeah, and there still hasn't been a statement from Matt and Trey. I have a feeling that they are not a fan of the episode being pulled from circulation. And there has been a lot of rumors going around that they may even pull this entire season down.
Oh boy.
Um,
I don't think Charlie Kirk would even advocate.
No, I don't
for
think
that.
so. In fact,
No.
we brought it up in our video that he took it with great humor.
Yeah, he
In
did.
fact,
It's the
he
only way
liked
to
it.
take it, right?
He
That's the
took
only
it
way.
like when Nirvana was, asked, how do you feel about Weird Al making fun of your music? He's like, we fucking made it. That's what Kurt
Exactly.
Cobain said.
Yep.
And that's basically what Charlie was saying when they asked him about the South Park thing. He's like, yeah, I fucking made it. I'm on South Park. Like, you're part of the culture now, right? Like, I mean, it's kind of got to be like the same thing as when your song's parodied by Weird Al. But sadly, he was cut down way too early, and I think this is going to have some repercussions we don't even know yet.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. It's gonna be bumpy, and we knew that the moment when Orange Man Bad got reelected into the White House, that things aren't instantly going to get better. Now is when the resistance starts for real. Now it's going to be rough.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, well, let's keep moving here. Let's see here. We got this one right. Yes, we did. Grimzilla then says Japan and South Korea's response for Kirk has been beautiful. Kirk really could have become president, and that's why the left had to remove him. I do feel there was some fear there. I don't disagree with that. Thinking Heretic says, I believe the reason God permits someone like CK to be deleted is that by his deletion, God's kingdom advances greater. Oh, this is going to have huge repercussions going forward. And this is where I don't resist any of the comparisons to Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. Because they both are very similar in what they stood for in their movements. Right? So, and then Admiral Teague has been here for 34 months. Thank you for that. And a member at that. We need to do a member stream, Andre, ASAP. Goku McDuck says, what if the shooter was not working alone? Oh, well, hopefully the FBI does their job.
We'll just have to trust that. But personally, I'm of the opinion that this is just another patsy, just like what's his face that tried and failed on Trump. This is just another Lee Harvey Oswald.
I think this guy hit his shot, dead shot. Like, I think he hit exactly where he was aiming. I know some people are saying he was trying for a headshot. I said, I don't know about that. Because even like this was like one of those type of shots where there was no coming back. Because there was some people that like, look, I'm from Wisconsin and we got tons of hunters around here.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of shot you try to get. You don't want the head necessarily. You want the main artery so it bleeds out.
Yeah, the moment I saw that, because I didn't know, I saw the video on X before I knew what was wrong. And I was like, oh my God, like he's done. Like there's no reason to question anything like that.
No.
That was a dead body that they carried away from the university campus.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
there
even
was
30 seconds without blood and the brain's dead. I mean,
yeah. In fact, it's what some hunters would consider a humane way of doing it because it's quick. Yeah.
People talking about this having to be a professional hit job, though. I mean, 200
I don't
yards,
know about that.
50 yards. No, red dots. My wife can hit targets.
Well, as I just said, like that's the way hunters hunt, right? Like that's it doesn't take but just a couple classes of hunter safety and a few days at the range probably to do what this guy did.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good
scope, a good sight, rather.
And a good scope. Yeah.
That's the consolation. He only suffered for seconds.
Yes.
That's my point. Is like as sad as it is, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
I guess is what I was getting at.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we'll know more in the next few days, I'm sure, as the investigation goes on. Bucky Cat says Minnesota, he was a Tim Maltz appointee. He ended state senator who voted against illegal aliens getting terms
That's
benefits.
what it was. Yeah.
PA arsonist was socialist and pro-Palestine. Yeah, pro-Palestine supporter. The more you find out about these individuals, like I know, like when I posted my one thing about the gun control thing, somebody was like, "Oh, well, this and so was a registered Republican who went after Trump's." Like, yeah, you believe that, right? Like it's been well known that a lot of these guys will sign up so they can vote in the preliminary things too, and all that kind of
Primaries. That's exactly right.
Or
They have
primaries,
open
not preliminaries,
primaries
but
or
yeah.
something. So you have to say you're voting for
Exactly.
that party, right?
Yeah, there was nothing else that pointed to that individual
No.
being even remotely.
No, Republican. No.
Yeah, and I think the same thing's going to happen here, probably.
Thanks, Bucky.
Yeah, and thank you, Bucky, indeed. And then Goku says, rumors have it the shooter debated Kirk in the past. I would not be surprised.
I saw that. I actually saw footage of who I wish I'd looked at it closer, but yeah, there was a guy, he went to one of the college debates. And
Yeah, I saw that video too. We'll have to wait for like some professional ID. I don't think it was him. Like to me, that doesn't look like the guy who was arrested.
It would be interesting if it was, but
yeah, it would be. It
anything,
would be.
sure.
I mean, that guy, he looked like a complete and total psycho as well, and and Homeland Security needs to have a chat with him just to play it safe.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was the guy, and if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. But just looking at the pictures of the guy who just got arrested and that video, I know the one you're referring to me, that does not look like the same guy.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if at some point it doesn't turn out kind of like what the Trump shooter was in the BlackRock video.
Yeah. Golly. Now I still have a lot of questions.
I'd be less surprised if this guy, the one who
was in a BlackRock video. Yeah. That's kind of like the same fucking video. Yeah.
That's kind of like what I mean, because it has kind of like the same hallmarks, like this lone.
Where's Richard Donner when you need him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what's the name of like that that like Ultra whatever something
MK
Ultra. Yeah, but I was thinking like conspiracy theory with Mel Gibson, right? Like I mean that's kind of like, wouldn't be surprised.
No.
And there was even some talk. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get into that's a whole nother fucking thing.
Yeah, it's a different show.
Yeah, well, not so much a different show, but a different avenue to go down with this. It was about Dave Chappelle, and how he got visited by somebody from possibly MK Ultra.
Oh yeah.
Dark King says, "Rip Charlie Kirk." To quote World War II bomber crews, "The flak is the heaviest when you're over the target." I guess this idiot thought was that killing MLK stopped the civil rights movement in its tracks. Yeah, I sometimes wonder where these idiots think that they're going to be some sort of hero in this scenario.
Yeah.
Well, they're crazy people. They're mentally ill. That is beyond
I
doubt.
get it. Yeah.
The question is, are they working alone, or are there someone using them as a patsy? And if that's the case, they may not hope to stop something, just to derail it.
Well, whether or not they're being used as a patsy, you have an entire cohort on one side of the aisle or the other, essentially saying, "This person is who shall rid me of this meddlesome priest."
Mm-hmm.
Just off into the ether. Boy, it'd be great. It'd be great if this thing happened.
Well, there was hit lists getting started right after the attempted Trump assassination.
Oh, yeah.
And even yesterday, there was people coming up with hit lists. Did you hear about this over on Blue Sky?
Well, all the cowards have to do is hope for one mentally unhinged person to hear them. That's it. Yeah. That's it. They have a proxy.
And their excuse,
they put their message out there, and they just kind of wish on a star that someone will take them up on their own cowardice.
And then when it actually happens, they're like, "Well, I didn't really mean it."
Well, yeah.
No, the only one on that side who seemed like, outside of the few people who actually are the level-headed people that did come out and say, "Look, violence for any reason whatsoever is wrong," which there were a few. I give them credit on that side. Unlike Stephen King, I guess, who had to be goaded into it after he fucked up. Yeah. I guess from what I heard. But yeah, like it's anyway. Let's keep moving along because we've got some other stuff to talk about here too. Sure. I hate to rush through this topic in any way, but I have a feeling we'll be talking a lot about it over the next few weeks.
Oh yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Jason Webster says divisiveness and partisanship must stop. Both political parties have been guilty of this. Now is the time to work together for a brighter future. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the biggest issue, is just the inability of both parties to even remotely work together anymore. It's gotten so bad.
Well, I don't necessarily. I'm not advocating for everybody to suddenly go kumbaya and everything, but as a matter of uplifting civil discourse. I mean,
Well, there's no compromise. There's zero compromise right now, especially on the left.
True. Yeah. No. I get that. Yeah. There has to be the tribalism has to lessen, and we need to find what little common ground we can start on, even if it doesn't mean that we all become on the same side and we agree on everything. More effort has to be put into finding something where we can at least work on it. Even if we don't get anywhere, we got to put all this nonsense eliminationist rhetoric aside.
Mm-hmm. And then Jason Webster says, now is the time to celebrate and champion our commonality and similarities, which we share more than differences. Yeah. Professor Haitian says South Park has pushed hatred just like the rest of media. They need punishment like the rest. This is where I disagree a little bit. This is why I've been asking people, have you watched the last few episodes? Because I feel like a lot of people just checked out and didn't. And this is partially Matt and Trey's fault for dragging this shit out. But if you see the last episode, I kind of see it's exactly going where we all kind of said it was. This last episode was basically pointing out the ridiculousness of the media and how they've basically painted Trump as Hitler. That's really what it was. Like,
there's no sacred cows on South Park. I mean,
there are no sacred cows.
And some of it's going to be offensive, but I don't think that.
I think we need stuff like South Park,
I don't think
regardless of if we agree with it.
I don't think they need to be shut down. Just don't watch. That's all.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm upset that they're even pulling the Charlie Kirk episode. I think that's just silly. And if it goes to the extreme where they pull it from Paramount Plus and stuff, I don't agree with all that. And I don't think there was anything in that episode that was out and out hateful towards him.
Because he liked it himself. I mean,
I was gonna say,
fun with it.
Well, he wasn't even the main. I mean, his ideas were the focal point, but it wasn't even about him. It was about Cartman getting pissed that other people beat him to the punch. Like, that was the joke, right? Like, is that this was my shtick and everybody else is stealing it now. That was the joke of the episode or whatever. So, like, it had less to do with Charlie Kirk other than just Cartman was pissed that he didn't think about it first. Like, that was kind of the whole thing, right? But again, I don't know. I'm not somebody who's quick to condemn. I'm not a fan of cancel culture on either side. I do believe there is consequence culture. And I do feel like if you're working for a company like DC or certain other things like that, yeah. I mean, you may lose your job if you do something stupid like that. I mean, I would expect if I come out and said something stupid like that on Midnight's Edge, Andre and I would probably have a parting of ways too.
We would have words. Let's put it that way.
At least words, if not some kind of, like at some point, I'm sure there's something stupid I could say that would definitely cause me to be, kicked out of the group here. Like, let's say. But anyhow, Ken Riegard says you cannot work with evil. Unfortunately, this is true. And speaking of working with evil, David Ellison has decided he's going to throw his hat in the ring and throw his weight around here. And there's a lot of talk around this. Nobody knows exactly what's going on for sure.
Yeah.
But this came out yesterday, and supposedly David Ellison's going to make a huge cash offer for Warner Brothers.
Jeez.
And I've heard on the other side of this is that David Zaslav has no desire to step down or sell off Warner Brothers yet. Now, they are separating the company. We know that in April. He mentioned it.
That actually surprises me a little bit, because I always heard that David Zaslav bought Warner not to keep it, but as a fix-em-upper. However, I did not hear that from him. That may have been something that came from the Hollywood trades to try to tar him as he's not one of us. He doesn't care. That could be the case. But because I heard that, I was always prepared for the opportunity, for the possibility that he is basically fixing Warner, and then he's going to sell it off at a massive profit.
I'm more as a layman here. I'm more confused after the Skydance debacle. and the length and the cost and the complication, why would Ellison even have the stomach to float this now? He just got through a ridiculous process of acquisition.
Yeah, imagine the high. He wanted to be a studio mogul. He said, "Daddy, I want to be a studio head." And Dad's, okay, fine, here's a few billion. Go be a studio mogul.
That's what I find is hilarious, is that Zaslav wasn't good enough to be a studio head because he's a cable guy. But David Ellison, who basically had Daddy buy him a studio, can be.
Yeah,
because I guarantee you there's people internally and in Hollywood that are cheering this on. They want Zaslav gone. And that's where I wouldn't be surprised if half the reason Zaslav was like, no, I ain't fucking going nowhere.
Honestly, I hope he doesn't go.
Because of the resistance he's faced all this time, and I've heard he's kind of liked becoming a mogul.
And I really have to say, like, just look at Warner are the winners of the box office so far. Like, we posted a video about it today, which comes straight from the trades. This has been a horrible summer for all of Hollywood. Oh, except Warner. Warner are doing amazing. The one studio that is run by the one guy who isn't the Hollywood incumbent. Go figure. I hope that that Zaslav stays for as long as he has like the.
I fucking knew it.
Exactly.
Oh!
Exactly. Whatever.
I think maybe they're just trying to get Variety at least says that Ellison may be trying to get ahead of any rivals like Netflix or Amazon who also have this.
Here's where I can see some kind of marriage between the two.
Yeah.
And is that Ellison wants Zaslav to come in and revamp Paramount Plus.
Right.
But there's nothing really wrong with Paramount Plus. They're one of the few that actually do have a chance to come out of this thing alive, and mainly because they're Taylor Sheridan stuff and all that. But unless that's the whole case, because I mean, that's one thing that we've been saying for a while, and I've been keeping track of Zaslav way, way, way back when, and I know Andre probably remembers this, when I discovered him during the Discovery Plus days, because I was asking everybody, and this was early on when all there was like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and CBS All Access, and I think HBO Max was around. And I was asking people, what do you got for streaming services? And, a few people had Netflix, a few people had Amazon, all the basics, stuff like that. But when I noticed that everybody kept saying was, oh, we got Discovery and we got to have that. I'm like, what do you mean you got to have it? And that's what I kept hearing was we got to have it. And it was, because we got to have it for the 90-Day Fiance. We got to have it for this, got to have it for that. And I remind people, as much as people have hated him, that's the other thing, is he's had haters for years because he revamped Discovery and Court TV, right? But he made them winners. He made them very lucrative because he basically was one of the pioneers of reality television. He basically turned True TV into nothing but a fucking... that was what Court TV used to be, into nothing but a reality TV channel. It was one of the most profitable cable networks because of that shit, because it costs nothing to produce everything they make. And he came over and he's somebody that I've said from the start that everything I've heard about him has pretty much come out to be true. I don't agree with everything that he does. I think he fucked up a few things, especially early on. But I think as he's come along, he's learning. He was the first one to come out and say, we're not going to be sending shows straight to streaming and only streaming. They're going to go to HBO and streaming, right? We're going to utilize this the way it should be. And it feels like he's the only one using HBO Max now, like the de facto HBO 2.0 and not their, home theater, right? Or their distribution system for their movies. Because none of their films now come out straight to streaming anymore, from my memory, in the last year or two.
I think you're right.
But we'll see, because the other side of this is, will the regulatory commission even let this happen?
Right. Well, that was my other question too. Is like they just got past all the hoops you could imagine with the FCC to have this happen in the first place, and now he wants to tempt going a second round, just after. This seems odd. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the strategy here is.
Unless it's nothing to do with the studio and it has to do with him when they split things off. Maybe Ellison's interested in a bunch of the cable stuff, because there is a couple of channels that they own together, and they've been suing each other back and forth over South Park and other shit.
Sure.
Because for those who don't know, the CW is basically the UPN and the WB mashed into one thing. Now that's no longer in existence, but I think a lot of the IPs are still in existence. And then you have the other issue is channels like Comedy Central, which they do still co-own, right? And I think there's a couple others in that package where they They did this thing years and years ago where they just combined some of their cable channels, and that's why there's this fight over South Park. So, I mean, that could clean up a lot of those messes, but at the same time, that's where I mentioned the regulatory thing, because somebody's going to have to sell something off before they even buy the other, because they would have a monopoly at some point.
Right, yeah.
Warner Brothers and Paramount are the two biggest television catalogs out there.
Yeah, that kind of consolidation. Like I say, the idea that maybe he's just making an overall play so that if they spin off some crumbs, he can buy that stuff up. And
I was hearing something that had more to do with some IPs.
Oh, specific IPs? Oh, okay.
Maybe. That's what I was hearing.
Yeah, because the FCC, I guarantee you, the FCC would be wary of this in any way, shape, or form because of the monopoly risk. So it's just a bizarre... Yeah, it seems like it seems like a play for something else, some other leveraging tool, because an actual acquisition seems practically impossible at this point.
I mean, I could see him buying out like their half of Comedy Central, certain things like that, so they could clean up that mess, and that's kind of seemingly where it's going to go, because like they got all the rights now to South Park, and they've paid a buttload to clean all that up. It feels like. So I don't know. We'll see how this rolls. What do you think, Andre, overall? I mean, this is kind of an oddball, because I know there's other suitors that are going to be throwing in a bid. I know Paramount or Universal's one of them too, I've been hearing.
Where's this rumor coming from in the first place? Like, who's reporting this? Like, is this
Didn't Ellison himself put it out there?
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering from what source is this coming from? Is this just chatter, or did Ellison actually say outright?
But Warner Brothers didn't comment. I know that.
Okay.
But I thought. Let me see here if it says. We keep talking. Go ahead. I'll just keep looking here.
Yeah. No. Well, honestly, I hope that Warner stays exactly where it is. I honestly wouldn't like to see anyone buy Warner, because if Ellison buys Warner, that's basically Paramount and Warner that in time are going to become the same thing, because it's owned by Ellison, right? It's kind of going to be like CBS and Paramount that became merged with one another and demerged, and both kind of lost their identity. That's what's going to happen if Ellison gets Paramount and Warner. At least one of the two is in time eventually going to lose their identity. Same thing with Fox under Disney ownership. You can't have like one studio owning the other, because this is like what Paul Chateau is saying, that culture trumps everything, and in time one of the companies is going to subsume the other. So I would rather they stay on different terms. Completely separate, because we've lost enough studios as it is, and I don't want Amazon to go in and get Warner either. Warner is too important for Hollywood, for the
Andre, are you arguing for diversity in entertainment?
Yes. Exactly.
Yes. Well, okay, so this actually came from, according to people familiar with the situation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I found. Okay. I traced it back to the Washington State Journal.
Kind of worried about Daddy Larry's AI involvement, though. I mean, because could you imagine the massive database for content creation that they would have with Paramount, Skydance?
Oh, that's true.
Discovery.
Yeah, we talked before how like the future of that is to license your own bank of IPs and sell that off to AI companies. Yeah, that's true.
Does not bode well. I also agree. I don't think we need another monopoly. I kind of feel like the FCC will prevent this from moving.
Well, we can hope.
Yeah.
But if enough money's on the table,
down
might
to
find
what?
a reason.
Amazon, Disney, and Paramount at that point?
Pretty much.
No thanks.
Well, actually, you can strike Paramount, because Paramount is kind of like owned by Ellison. If he wants to get another thing, it's going to be, but Daddy, I wanted Warner. Oh, I can't have Warner. Fine, then I want Lionsgate. I'll get that.
Or Netflix. Yeah.
Or Netflix. Yeah,
see, now that I can actually see happening, and that's where I feel like
that's what
Ellison's shooting for the fucking moon here, man. You're like, look, this is not going to happen. I mean, now if you were going after Lionsgate, and then that's exactly what I said yesterday. I'm like, I could see it happening then, but this just no. I don't see the government allowing this. I don't see how this is a good idea for anybody involved. I hope the rumors I'm hearing about, that Zaslav's not interested in this sale, or at least not interested in stepping down anytime soon, which I said could even be part of the deal, right? Like, I mean, maybe Ellison wants Zaslav to come with part of the deal. I don't know. But until we find out more, there's nothing, because Warner Brothers had nothing to say about it. They had no comment, and I'm seeing here that even Skydance had no comment on it. So
Yeah.
We'll see. But there is supposedly a bidding more coming. So.
Jeez. All right. It's becoming cyberpunk. Where it's nothing but one singular corporations running everything.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, basically.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Dystopian.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else had anything more to say about that, but
Yeah.
You guys did see that the that DC Comics writer, he got canned. That
yeah, we
Yes.
covered that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Did a video about
That's
it.
what I was mentioning earlier about it. Like, I don't feel bad for them, but I feel bad for anybody else who was working on the book who had nothing to do with that shit.
You mean
Sure,
you don't
the
feel
artists
bad
and
for they,
everything.
them?
They
Yeah, they,
yeah,
them,
they,
yeah.
Come on, guys. I have no patience left.
Well, all I know is that yesterday when I saw that news about David Ellison, this was basically me.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
I'm thinking though that
I had to go down the rabbit hole to figure out what the fuck this was because I kept seeing the meme everywhere. So now I know.
but there's so many comic book people at DC Comics that were angry that they missed Trump, right? Back during
Yeah,
Butler, Pennsylvania. One of them being Mark Waid, who is still a heavily celebrated comic book writer over at DC
Mhm.
Comics, and he's still there. So I don't know if that's why I feel like this was a big shift. This was seismic what happened to Charlie Kirk, because, while the left is offended by everything and ashamed of nothing, and could generally say these kinds of things without any retribution, I think that the assassination of someone like Charlie Kirk on stage in front of his children, his family, his friends, and his audience, and then celebrating it like thirsty ghouls, was a very bad decision. And there's going to be retribution, even if it's from their own side. When Cracker Barrel backed off their changes due to backlash, that was sort of a harbinger, I think, of what we're seeing now with this DC writer getting canned. And the things this DC writer was saying weren't unexpected. This same person has been had praised Osama bin Laden, saying blowing up the World Trade Center was probably the most principled and defensible thing he ever did. And this was something posted on Twitter, November 15th, 2023, and more than once had threatened harming J.K. Rowling.
Yep.
And these things didn't bother DC
No.
prior to this.
So they either didn't vet them at all, or whoever was doing the hiring is the problem over there. And it turns out, you guys may be familiar with Ethan Van Sciver, who used to be a professional artist over at DC Comics. He discovered that the person that had hired this writer is himself transgender and is actually the son of Hollywood actor John Turturro.
What?
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes,
Small
as a
world.
matter of fact, let me see if I can get this link real quick in the private chat here. If you want to take a look at it real quick.
Do we need some red string and a cork board?
Put the lotion on the skin. There's some really creepy stuff that goes on. So these are the people who are gatekeeping at DC Comics, and they are as mentally unstable as the people they're hiring. apparently. It's crazy. And so all this, if anything good comes of this senseless death, it may be, to Andre's point, that it shines a disinfectant light on all of this rot and cancer that has been growing without any mitigation in our culture. So, hopefully that will come from it. And some of these people will be, I don't necessarily want them canceled, but I certainly would like them to be held accountable and responsible for what they're doing.
It's going to cause people who would consider themselves to be on the left side of things to see that there is a distinct extremist faction amongst their ranks and have to either it's sort of like, everything you say is great. No. I'm going to go over here now.
Yeah.
There's going to have to be a division where you're going to end up having, I think, a lot more people declaring themselves to be moderate liberals to distinguish themselves from everybody else.
Yeah, moderate, little bit progressives.
Mild progressives. There's spicy, there's mild, there's no spice at all.
There was a really fun chart that I think Elon Musk, not fun, but prescient, that Elon Musk tweeted the other day or retweeted. I also dropped it in the chat, that shows the left, center, right diagram. And it's like, okay, I'm a little bit center left in 2008, and the people who are there, they don't really move, but the Overton window has gone from fellow liberals going woke progressive and now all the way to killing people who they think are bigots. And while that center left person hasn't really shifted, the spectrum has shifted so much that they look far right now. It's
right. Yeah, I've experienced that in my personal life. At the risk of completely derailing everything, there was something I wanted to bring up that has nothing to do with any of this stuff.
Go on.
For those of you in the chat that have no idea about this, and you wouldn't, there's been sort of a silent but friendly competition taking place between Chris Briley and myself over the last several days. And that is making some advertisements for the fact that Midnight's Edge is changing time slots as of next week, if I'm not mistaken. Is that still correct?
22nd. That's 10 days.
22nd.
A week from Monday, I believe it is.
Oh, I thought it was next week. I apologize.
Is it, Andre? I thought it was a week from Monday. I don't even know.
Yeah, a week from Monday.
Oh, okay. I'm mistaken. I thought it was next week. Well,
you're not reading my ads then, sir.
I guess my ads have been more generic. I thought
yours have been better. I go ahead and concede.
With the indulgence of Andre and Tom, I'd like Chris and I to show off our work thus far.
Please, and then we'll segue us into our next topic.
So Chris, if you could share some of yours, and I'll share a couple of mine.
Oh, I'm not even at the computer that has my stuff.
Oh,
can you just go into the chat and share that stuff, or into the DM thread that we have already and share it from there?
I might be able to. Hold on.
I know some things were missing on your end, I think.
Yeah, there was one that got deleted
too, if you can.
Well, if you want to find your stuff, or do you have access?
Yeah, that's probably better. I'll show. Okay, I'll show mine. You show yours. Is that
okay? All right. Well, there's one of Chris's.
Oh, what? Okay. Oh yeah. Well, it's the chat, right?
Yeah.
Got to have the chat on the computer with his intelligentsia buddy.
So you got William Shatner. And who's that guy with him? I don't know who that is off the top of my head.
That's one of our viewers.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They've introduced Shatner to the Midnight's Edge in the morning. They're telling him where to go.
Okay. Should I unblock that Thomas fellow? Probably not.
That's right.
I don't need that kind of shit on my timeline.
I heard him say that actually once.
I'm sure I did.
And this is my first.
Oh, yes.
I love how I'm Charles Grodin here.
I figured Andre dragging you around was probably the best metaphor.
It's actually more like the other way around. But
Tom the angry one.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Let's go. Come on. I am busy doing my Norwegian stuff. It's like, Norwegian stuff can wait.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
I am in the sauna. It is very important.
Show
what's up
show
next?
your next one. There.
Tom is actually not joking
Oh.
about it.
Okay, well, you guys have seen 2. I've done 3 now.
Well, it's funny. We're sitting here talking about like building a fucking strip club, and I'm like, we can get Andre involved, but I guarantee you, the first thing he's going to say is, "Might I suggest you have a sauna?"
I actually was in the sauna earlier today.
I knew it. Oh shit! You guys love that over there.
I will confess, I made Tom
Everybody's talking at me.
Yeah, I made Tom the male prostitute here. I know. It's terrible.
I know. Andre's the better looking of the two, though. I'd be more like Dustin Hoffman, more like, I'm walking here.
Yeah, maybe I switched up the personalities a bit too much. The fun thing about doing movie posters, or the challenge is always trying to find, as close as possible, if not exact, the right font to duplicate the original stuff.
I appreciate that attention to detail.
I would think the harder would be getting the pose of the head right.
Well, yeah, it all depends. It all depends on the angle of the like. Fortunately for me, you gave me a couple of extra headshots for the Cheers intro.
All the angles.
Yeah, so I have some options there. Now this one, you guys haven't seen this one yet. This one was particularly challenging for many reasons. If you find the original, you can compare and contrast how much work I went into this. But I kept looking for movies with the word midnight in them, obviously.
Yes.
To try to have some connection there. And there aren't that many who have really good posters worth working on. This one took a little doing. Yeah. Now the
Yes.
Tom face is the weakest part as far as the coloring of it. I couldn't quite get the tone right. But everything else, especially the fonts.
Lon Chaney, that's all that matters.
That's true. You're Lon Chaney, and Andre is whatever the femme fatale is. But yeah, so I did that one.
I'm missing
night.
the
It's
teeth.
tougher. It's tougher because it becomes less iconic the further you get outside of the 70s.
Yeah, and there's some movies that you might know the name of, but their posters aren't very. Like the other one I was really trying to work on, but it's difficult, was Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Yeah,
and that one, that poster, not easy to work with. I kind of tossed
The
that
Other
one
Side of
aside.
Midnight would be another one like that too. Yeah.
I looked at that one.
Yeah.
And it's a tough one to try to figure out.
There's nothing you can really do with that. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I could do with it is just change the words, because there's no way to fit your and Andre's faces on that art. But anyway, so those are my offerings of I'll be posting those on my Twitter for
I was trying I looked up
spread.
Edge of Tomorrow, and it just didn't work out for Midnight's Edge, so I thought, well, I'll just start looking for computers. I'll just start looking for moments where a celebrity or something. So, you had the Shatner at the computer from
somebody needs to do a Jaws one where I'm like, Andre's the one swimming and I'm up underneath as the shark.
That would be good, actually.
And then when you got this one, I think you did.
I
as well,
did do
Chris.
a coffee. Yeah, that's right. And then the last one I did here is
Bill Bixby.
Bill Bixby. Yeah. Actually, no, the last one is just a fun little meme with.
Get to the chat. Midnight's Edge is starting 2 hours early. Don't be lazy. Get up. Get up now. Do it.
Started to have the little girl say, I don't think I can get there. I think there's a block on the
Stop
school.
whining.
Get to the chat.
Get to the chat. No excuses. I don't want to hear it.
We're just having fun over here, right? So I've got such a heavy workload that I've used creating these little things as palate cleansers. I think.
Yes,
I hear you.
I'm gonna go do something that might be fun.
It's like meditation after a fashion.
After this weekend, or after this week, I mean, this weekend, I think a lot of people are going to need some palate cleansers and to kind of reconfigure, maybe sit down and laugh.
Yeah.
And there's a movie coming out this weekend that I think a lot of people will enjoy.
Let's hear it.
I can recommend it to kind of bury the lead here, but Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. I saw it Wednesday night in a special fan event screening, and it is playing wide now. So check it out, folks. It's hilarious. It's fun. It's not woke. Some great cameos, some great moments. Is it as good as the original? No, but it does rock, and I can recommend it. So check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Yeah. I didn't get to see the Q&A. I think they showed the wrong intro. I think they showed the Downton Abbey intro instead of showing us the Q&A. I'm not even kidding, because we got the shut off your cell phones bit from Downton Abbey and a bunch of shit for Downton Abbey. And then they cut off Nicole Kidman midway through her fucking thing. And I'm like, oh, thank God. But then the movie started. And then after the movie, I'm like, wait a minute, where's the Q&A? So I'm thinking they showed trailers and shit over the Q&A instead of showing, like they started the wrong movie, basically. They started showing Downton Abbey instead of this. Oh, but and they caught it at the last minute is what I think happened. Because it's supposed to be a live Q&A, so I'm assuming it was like streamed. Maybe they couldn't get the stream to work or something like that too. Who knows? But no, the movie itself is fun. It's really short. It's only an hour and 20 minutes. If anything, it feels like 2/3 of the movie's on the cutting room floor. But
oh, the special edition 4K will come out at some point.
Maybe. Well, I just sent to Andre, because I don't know if you guys know about this. But there is a 4.5 hour work print of the original Spinal Tap going around out there.
What?
Yes, 4.5 hours. The original movie's only 80 minutes. And there's some stuff that's not even in this version that's in the other movie that they must have shot after this. Like the Marty DeBurgi beginning and all that kind of stuff. So like, yeah, like, and he just kind of like just shows up in this version, like about 30 minutes into the movie. It doesn't even explain who he is. But anyhow, the Spinal Tap 2 is great cameos. Almost everybody's back from the original that they could get their hands on, obviously. The plot is that the people that own their record contract didn't see any future in Spinal Tap, so they didn't give a shit until Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood did a cover of Big Bottom that went viral. So now they've decided to invoke their contractual concert because the group hasn't talked to each other in 13 years. And what I love is they've incorporated all the times they have gotten together and done stuff over the past 40 years. But they do it like the real stuff, but they put it in the fictitious world, right? Because Spinal Tap was at Live Aid, and they did like the Return of Spinal Tap. They had another album and stuff they did, and they did a whole tour and all that kind of stuff. Smart. So they play it up like the movie reinvigorated their popularity, but then 13 years ago everything went wrong.
Is Paul Schaefer in this anywhere?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Artie Fufkin.
Good. He had the best stuff in the first one. Oh, that's
I mean, if you've seen some of the clips, you already kind of know what to expect. Like they've got this new manager guy who's a complete tool. He's the one who's like, now this would really help if one of you die on stage. We don't.
I guess it makes fun too of all these. There's a lot of creaky old rockers still out there on the road.
But they don't do it as much as you'd think, and that's what I got to give the movie credit for. Is it doesn't lean too heavily into they're old and shit. They do a little bit. Don't get me wrong. There is some jokes in there, but they don't lean into it overtly. Like that's the whole joke. They don't. I kept thinking
it was gonna be like Still Crazy. Remember that movie from several years ago where it's sort of a Rolling Stones analog got together again. I thought it would lean into that kind of deal of like
kind of maybe. I haven't seen that, so I don't know. But like I mean it, and there is some elements where like clearly they're not redoing the same joke from the original movie, but they're doing a new variation on it, right? Like. Clearly, Stonehenge plays a big, because that's one of their ongoing jokes is they could never get Stonehenge right. Even in the revival concerts, everything always went wrong for Stonehenge. It's like, so that kind of a joke is going to be in there. One of the first jokes in the movie that's really funny is like they're looking for a drummer, right? Like they can't get anybody to drum for them, because like the one dude's like, look, I'll be honest with you guys, I just don't want to die. And they're like, yeah, we can respect that, But then they have like Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's like, you guys, I'm real busy and stuff right now with the Peppers and all this kind of business. But you know who's not busy and who'd probably love to help you guys out? Lars Ulrich. And so they call Lars, and he's like, oh, God, I'd love to play with you guys. But, I got this Metallica thing. And they're like, no, you don't have to quit the band. It's just for one night. And he's like, you know what? I heard Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers is looking for some work. So like, they keep doing like that kind of a thing. It's like they're just trying to put together this one last concert kind of thing. It's fun, and the only thing, if anything, I feel like I wish they would have had more of the concert at the end. I feel like it kind of felt more truncated in that sense. But and there's other bits and stuff that I know they've talked about other places that aren't even in the movie that they've talked about, like because he got a new Marshall amp he was talking about in one of the interviews. They don't even bring it up in the movie because you remember the original 11 joke.
Yep.
Well, Marshall made him an amp now that goes to infinity.
That's great.
They didn't have that in the movie though.
Oh,
but they were talking about, they were talking about it in one of the interviews, but like, it's like, wait, that's not in the movie?
Yeah. I'm assuming there's credit bloopers or credit scenes and stuff like that.
Well, they just do the same thing they did in the first movie where they just show random stuff.
Okay, good.
Like it's not bloopers, but it's just more randomness, from outtakes.
Stay through the credits then.
Yeah, definitely stay. Like there's nothing after the credits, but the whole credits is just chock full of
cool,
more stuff. Like in the original one, they had like, where he's talking about, if I wasn't doing this, I suppose I could work at like a clothing store or a haberdashery, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like where they're just talking to him and stuff like that. Yeah. But no, I think most people enjoy it. If you like the old, how old is McCartney? Yeah, Paul McCartney bit. That was a funny scene. Yeah. So you got Paul McCartney, Elton John, all these greats. But hopefully you guys get a chance to see it this weekend. You can see it in IMAX. It was shot for IMAX, but I wouldn't say, like, if anything, that's one of my biggest gripes is that it doesn't feel like a documentary. It feels more like a YouTube video because of the way it's shot. It's shot with all the digital cameras now. It doesn't have the shaky documentary kind of feel to it that the original had. How it the original one kind of almost felt a little grimy.
Yeah.
Like this one doesn't have that to it. It feels almost a little too pristine and clean on how it's shot. But no politics in it. As usual, Rob Reiner can stay out of his way when it comes to that kind of crap. So even in the promotion of this, I've only heard him make one political joke, and it was an ice joke. So, outside of that, I got to give him credit for kind of staying away from all that garbage. And check it out, guys. I recommend it. Boba Fett didn't like it though. Sorry.
Oh.
It's got a 70 or 69 now over at Rotten Tomatoes. So Rolling Stones did not like it.
Yeah, it's not like did it need to exist? No. But it's not like this is the first thing they've done in the last 40 years. There's been tons of other Spinal Tap stuff they've done. So to finally get another movie was kind of cool. So I don't know. I thought it was fun.
It's innocuous. Let it go.
Yeah.
Guys.
It's not as bad as like Coming to America or anything like that where
right, yeah.
It's completely reliant on, even Happy Gilmore. Like there was only like I think 2 or 3 flashbacks in this one to stuff from the original movie. Mm-hmm. And in this case it was almost needed cuz like one of the characters is the daughter of one of the characters from the original film. Even though if you're a big fan, you know who she is, but they just quickly flash to her father so you know who her father was, right? Otherwise, there was a shot from something, I don't know, I've never seen before. It might be from the original short film where they were singing the first song they wrote together. It's not the version that was in the original movie, but they have a different kind of flashback in this one. So I don't know if it was an outtake or because I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but when they initially came up with the idea for Spinal Tap, they shot what was meant to be like a 5-minute sizzle reel thing, and it ended up being 20 minutes long, and they used some of it in the movie. So like I've never actually seen the whole thing, but there's like this 20-minute thing out there that was the original Spinal Tap, like proof of concept. And I can't remember what bits they used in the movie itself, but like the bit where they're sitting there just having Marty interview him out front of that like London house where they're all just kind of sitting there. That was from the original short film, I guess. All that stuff, like the shit sandwich bit and all that kind of stuff. So, but anyhow, that being said, check out the film. Any more questions? Or I don't want to spoil anything, so yeah.
I do have to leave, unfortunately, gentlemen. I apologize.
I was gonna say I know we're wrapping this up, so go ahead and plug your wares, and then we'll go back into super chats.
Sure. Yeah. So last night on TED Excellence, I had a all-star appearance of Chuck Todd from NBC News, or formerly of NBC News, doing a TEDx talk. Now, I would have thought that Chuck Todd would rate an actual TED talk. Now he's down with the people. He goes to where the people are. And he wanted to tell us why we need to expand the House of Representatives. Why, you may ask? You'll have to find out. Was his argument any good? I don't know. I listened to
Well,
it. We all listened to
I
it.
think I know what it is, but I look forward to seeing that video, and so should everyone else watching right now.
Yep, and I predicated it all with like, hey, let's do something that we should all be doing more of. Let's listen to someone who's speaking about something they're passionate about, critique it in a polite and productive way, and then think about what it might mean going forward for ourselves. There you go.
It might be dangerous, Scribe.
I know it's dangerous times to advocate for open discussion of potentially controversial ideas.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, thank you so much for having me on. Happy birthday again to my father. Nice to see everybody here, Andre, Tom, Chris, and Six Previous. And everybody in the chat, have a good weekend, and we'll see you on the Monday.
Happy birthday to your pops. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Take care. Yeah, I see some people bringing up Blues Brothers 2000. This isn't anywhere near as bad as that. Like, no. Even Doba Fett, who said, I think he said he didn't like it. He said, no, it's not as bad as that. So, yeah.
I
mean, at least nobody's dead.
Blues
that
Brothers. I never figured out what people had that much against Blues Brothers 2000s, but that's just me. Maybe I need to rewatch it.
Belushi being gone.
There's more to it than that.
Well,
like,
it sucks. Yeah.
The movie, well, first of all, that movie's like a Midnight's Edge video waiting to happen because that movie was compromised by the studio from the start. I actually just recently learned some more about it. Like, I knew some of it, but like the studio forced them to first of all make it PG instead of R, because the original film was rated R. And then they're like, you got to put a kid in it. You got to have a black guy in it. You got to have this. You got to have that. That was all studio mandated bullshit. And instead of resisting and pushing back, Landis is just like, okay, yeah, whatever. That's why that kid has nothing to do with anything in the plot. If you notice, he serves zero purpose. In fact, if anything, he complicates things more.
As children often do.
Yeah, it was initially just supposed to be James Belushi and him, meeting up with James Belushi and them getting the band back together. That was the initial idea, but then Universal kept trying to turn it into something it wasn't. So it was all studio interference, and it just turned into a fucking disaster. Now the music is great. Like, everybody agrees, like the music, they did a great job on the soundtrack, but that's the only good thing. Because otherwise the movie is a fucking mess. I saw that with my friend in the theater, and we were the only two guys in the theater, and about halfway through the movie, we're looking at each other going, oh my God. Like, it was a funeral almost. It's like, should we just leave? Like, this is bad. We're like, no, let's see it through. Yeah. But anyhow, let's see what you guys are also saying out there. Goku McDuck says, odd thing is, now that Tegrity Farms is gone, the future where everyone is okay, but Cartman is no longer canon. Plot hole from Matt and Trey. Oh, you mean that special they did? I don't think that was ever meant to be like an actual future. I think it was just meant to be like a special also ran thing. But I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was the South Florida multiverse right there.
Yeah, the multiverse thing. Yeah. Dark King says, with respect to the panel you talked over 6 earlier, can we please let her speak her piece uninterrupted? You're not wrong. Yeah, that's probably why she left. I haven't heard from her. She's probably pissy. So we apologize to 6 if we did. Jesus Davila sent in $20. Didn't say anything, just sent in $20. Thank you, Jesus. And he gifted a membership. Thank you for that, Jesus. Soul Nightmare says, guess which cult of morons is cheering the deal on? They really don't understand Snyder's career stuff. Oh, yeah, I saw this. Hollywood threw him back in the indie pit. It didn't take them no time. No time at all. They're like, let's get out there. Let's make it be known. This is our chance. This is where we can say. Do they not understand how contracts work? Like, even if you buy a company, you still have to honor certain contracts on certain things. That's not how it works. Anyway, McGarnagle says, Charlie Kirk is with God now. The T issue in LGBT is what I'm seeing as the most radicalized issue in America. Deny reality and be branded a Yahtzee. I was a part of the TPUSA in college. I'm getting active again. Let's unite. What's TPUSA? I'm not familiar with
Turning
that.
Point. That's Charlie Kirk's project. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
See, I'm not. See, I never really was a follower of. I'm aware of him. I've seen his clips, but I mean, I never was somebody who was like an avid viewer or subscriber. Or
Sure.
Like that.
My son-in-law and daughter were in mourning yesterday. They really liked him and watched him and listened to his. He had came on, I think, at noon Monday through Friday on Real America Network, 2-hour show. But his organization was Turning Point USA.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Did not know that. Now I do. Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle asks, where's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ad from? I don't know.
Uh-oh. Inspiration.
Jason Webster says Spinal Tap 2 does look like a lot of fun. I had fun. I did. It seemed like the audience were clapping and enjoying themselves. So I was actually surprised at how many people were there. I did not expect it to be, I wouldn't say it was packed, but it was fairly full for a Wednesday night IMAX screening. I was kind of surprised. Jason Webster says The Conjuring Last Rites has currently earned $244 million worldwide and is already profitable. Oh, I'm sure it's very profitable. So I think that thing only costs like $40 million to make.
I'm telling you, man, low budget faith-based movies, it's the future.
Well, don't they have doesn't Angel or somebody have some other animated faith-based movie coming out this week? And didn't they just have another one?
Oh yeah.
Not too long ago.
Great.
The one about drawings that come to life. What the hell? Sketch?
Oh yes. I forgot the name of that though. Yeah. Good memory, Tom.
Well, and I just know this because my little shitbox theater downtown, they always carry the Angel Studios.
Is that right? Okay.
Movies, yeah. I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping they would get Spinal Tap so I could see it again without having to drive an hour. But I don't have the money anyway, so yeah. But anyway, that's that. We are out of Super Chats. The only other thing we had go on today was a Super Mario Brothers trailer dropped, but it's been overshadowed by so many other things. I know, Andre, you had a few thoughts about it. This one is called Super Mario World. I had 2 thoughts
about it. Yeah, because I just wonder if the rest of you had the same reaction to me, because first half of the trailer, when we get into the cast and stuff like that, I was expecting this to turn into the Disney logo, like it becoming the Disney castle. And then the second half, when the camera pans into the sky, I was expecting it to turn into the DreamWorks logo. Maybe I'm the only one that had that thing, but I was like, damn, this... I don't know if it's incidental or it's just my imagination or what.
I did get the Disney. The Disney Castle vibe. Yeah.
I got Disney Castle vibes and DreamWorks Sky vibe. That's what I got from this trailer, and that's pretty much it. I didn't get any Super Mario thing at all because I was so distracted by the logos for other companies.
The music was there, and you had a few little sound effects. Yeah. This was just a 45-second teaser.
This is a little teaser thing.
Minute long, maybe. Yeah. I'm curious why they skipped past Mario World, right?
That's what I said. Yeah, even though all the stuff that they're using here is evoking Mario World, like the music and the images and stuff like that. We know Yoshi's going to probably be in it because he was teased at the end of the last one. But maybe this one will go to outer space.
Who knows?
It says called Galaxy. Who knows? We'll see. I thought the first one was okay. I didn't think it was like as great as everybody else did, but I was also one of the people to point out that, really the version that everybody bashes from 1993, this is the same fucking movie. Like it is. It's the same beats. Sure, there's a few differences. Yes, aesthetically it looks like the game, but people forget that we only had 4 Super Mario games when that movie came out. Right? Super Mario World was in its infancy when that movie came out. Like they crammed Yoshi in there at the last minute because of how popular Super Mario World had become while they were making the movie.
Yeah.
So they had nothing to work with. They were just making that shit up as they went.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll do well. I hope it does fine. I'm not I'm less excited about next year's Seth Rogen Donkey Kong movie.
Yeah, well, see, that was my biggest issue with that film was the voice acting.
Yeah.
First of all, Seth Rogen, he needs to just be done. Get rid of him.
Jack Black was fine. What'd you think?
Jack Black was fine, but that was because he wasn't playing Jack Black for once.
Chris Pratt, I liked.
Chris Pratt, I did not like.
Okay.
I love Chris Pratt. I think he's probably one of our best actors alive today. Completely miscast as both Mario and Garfield. What the fuck are they doing?
I don't know about the Garfield. Yeah.
Oh God, Garfield would have been, and actually Garfield wasn't that bad of a movie. And somebody went and took AI and did Lorenzo Music's voice over Chris Pratt's, and I'm like, it works. Like, had they found the right person to do the voice, Garfield is not Chris Pratt. He's like Stephen Wright. Like, like what are you doing? Like, it just didn't work for me. But that's just my only complaint was the voice, because I didn't feel like he was Mario.
It's
Like,
Stephen Wright wasn't the voice of the animated show, was he?
no, but I'm like, that's the next
Well,
logical.
that guy
step.
sounded a whole lot like him when you said that. It reminded me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, first of all, it was Lorenzo Music, who was a comedian, who most people originally remembered from the Mary Tyler Moore Show, I think it was, where he played you never saw him, you only heard his voice, because he was like he ran the elevator
And
thing.
Bill Murray did it, right, for the movie.
Well, Bill Murray did it for the movie, yes, and that was kind of like because which was strange, because Lorenzo Music did Bill Murray's voice for the real Ghostbusters too. And then Lorenzo Music died a few years back, and then Frank Welker just took over, basically doing Lorenzo Music. Like, he just did an impression of Lorenzo Music, and he did a pretty good job. But then when they did the movie, they did Bill Murray, and then for this movie, they decided to go with Chris Pratt. Like, that is not Garfield. Stephen Wright is Garfield. You want a guy who comes in and he talks like this.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, that's the next logical step, is if you got somebody who's perfect to do the voice, that's the guy. Like, he evokes that. Like, that's what he does. That's Garfield. He's deadpan, and he's constantly sarcastic, but you can't hear it through the deadpan. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can't tell half the time if he's being real or just sarcastic. And then the other side of it is John, and the way he talks to John and treats John. Like, that they missed in the movie too, but that's a whole nother thing. But like, I didn't think the movie was that bad. They could have done better had they just did better voices. That's all.
Well,
and I'm somebody who actually knows a lot of the lore of Garfield, and I was kind of at first turned off that they were fucking with the lore, but then it didn't bother me.
You remember Scott Beach? I think he was the very first voice of Garfield.
Perhaps. I don't know. I remember there was they did like a real short thing years ago, like the original thing, and I think I've seen it, but I barely remember it.
Okay.
Where it was literally like an animated version of the first comic. Like, I've seen that.
Yeah. I think
I can't remember what it was on, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Lorenzo Music, though, is probably best known as
Well, yeah, and then he did Garfield and Friends, which was one of the longest running Saturday morning cartoons. Most people don't realize that. I think it even beat the Smurfs. Because most people don't realize most Saturday morning cartoons that we all love, guess what? They only have like 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah.
They didn't make shit tons of them. The only shows that ever lived on longer than a season were shit like Smurfs and Garfield and Chipmunks. Those are like the only 3 that had multiple seasons.
Flintstones, I think, had.
They had Flintstone Kids, and they had some other stuff they did. And Bugs Bunny you could count too, but a lot of those were just repurposing of the old cartoons, right? They did some new interstitial stuff, but it wasn't.
Well, no, in the 60s, they had like 6 seasons, 20-something episodes each. Flintstones did.
Oh, the original, but that was on prime time, though. That was
you're right. Yeah, that one of those rare. You're right.
Scooby-Doo is one of the other rarities, but see, the thing with Scooby-Doo is, as far as I know, unless there's a gap somewhere that I missed in the meantime, last time I checked, Scooby-Doo is the only cartoon that has been in constant production since its original incarnation. Now, there have been different versions of it, but there's always been a version of Scooby-Doo on. If that makes sense.
And like what you were just saying, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Was only 2 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, the original show was short, but then they did, What's New Scooby-Doo, and then they did Scrappy-Doo and Scooby-Doo, and then they did Scooby-Doo Kids, and these shows were all like back to back to back, slammed together. And, yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
Because even what's his face, Tom? I just forgot his last name. Tom, the guy who worked on that one Scooby-Doo show. We've had him on many a times. The other Tom, the actor, the guy who did the noir. I'm trying to remember his name. Geez, I'm having a brain fart. Anyway, he worked on one of the shows, one of the Scooby-Doo shows, and that one I think ran 3 or 4 seasons. Yeah. And they always were constantly pumping out Scooby-Doo movies. Oh, that's the other thing too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Almost every other year, every year they have it. But anyway, let's get out of here. We got a couple more super chats. Let's do that. Toga Free says 5 new mega evolutions. So far, leaks are real. Can't wait. the Electros and Excadrill and Scrafty. I'm thinking this has something to do with a Pokemon. Tom Conkle, that's what a name I couldn't think of. Jesus. Thank you, Robert. Is it a Pokemon thing? I'm just going with that because of your icon.
I think it is, yeah. Shocking Mega Evolutions, Pokemon Legends.
Did you guys hear that? Sadie's having a dream.
No, but hey, I'm glad you enjoyed Pokemon. Have at it. I hope it'll be awesome. All of the mega things.
Yeah, I don't know what any of those things are, but go Pokemon, go.
Coach Free is our Pokemon reporter for today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Indeed. I can't believe Pokemon is still a thing. It's lived this long. And
It's incredible.
Yeah. It's crazy. X Morbius says Garfield and Friends had amazing writing for a kids show. Yes, it did. Yes,
And
it did.
also the one segment, like it was like kind of like 3 things in each of it. You had like 2 episodes of Garfield and like 1 Orson in the middle.
Yep.
There was like one episode where one of the Garfield segments was a musical. There were a couple of those, I think. But anyway, one was called Truckin' Odie. That thing deserved an Emmy. It was that good.
I think I'm sure I've seen it. I'd have to go back. I have the whole series.
It is
on digital,
freaking
but-
glorious.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one show I never missed. If anything, I think I grew out of it before it ended, but yeah. So, no, Garfield was always fun. Like, I remember growing up on the specials and, you know, that when that show came out, that was the thing, was that show was the same caliber, and I think it's the entire same team as the specials, so that's where there was great continuity between the two. It just felt like, okay, they're just doing that, you know, like it was just picked up right where the last specials, you know, left off. So, yeah, they did a great job with that show. Did it ever win any Emmys? I think maybe it had.
That would surprise me, but who knows?
No, they gave Saturday morning shows Emmys, I thought.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
I could be wrong, but they had a category for
I
just
think
about everything.
Roughnecks, Starship Trooper Chronicles, and the RoboCop animated show got well-deserved Emmys.
I was going to say, like, yeah, I was going to say they actually do give them.
Okay,
Rambo,
well,
maybe.
yeah.
No, Rambo was like the parents group wanted that motherfucking show off the air.
Even a Toxic Avenger, I think, had a cartoon there for a while.
They did. Nobody gave a
That
shit
was
by the time
awesome.
that came out.
Yeah.
See, Toxic Avenger was perfectly timed. It came out
Toxic
exactly when it needed
Crusaders
to.
is the animation.
That's right.
Yeah, it is. Yes, because and in fact, I have the figure right here. Because this was the time Kaufman was smart. I don't know if he even came up with this or somebody came to him to do the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
But the timing of it was perfect because it came out right in the wake of Ninja Turtles and the gross out stuff the kids were into
and all that stuff.
Yes, like all that. Like as if the grosser it was, boys were into it. If it had slime, if it had, you know,
Yeah.
like kids ate that shit up. And Toxic Crusaders was arguably much bigger than the movies ever were.
Oh, totally.
I think that came out the same year or close to that Rambo cartoon also.
Pretty close. I think it was 89, 90, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Wildly
And-
inappropriate.
Well, Rambo, I think came out in like 88. I think it was. Or around
4, 82. I can't remember either now.
No, the cartoon. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
It was either 87 or 88, somewhere in there, because I
Okay.
got those figures for Christmas of 88. And I remember that because it was just specifically for various reasons. But like, yeah, because I got almost the entire collection of Rambo figures that year.
I remember somebody saying that was the very first R-rated movie that was turned into a kid's cartoon.
I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. And then RoboCop was not too far behind that. But see, now and they tried to do Alien, but Alien fell apart at the last minute. And I think they were going to attempt to do it with Terminator as well, but it just never happened.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's what I think all those toy lines were for, because that Alien one was specifically to go with a cartoon that never came to fruition.
Yeah, it was Operation Aliens or something, right?
With the military guys, and there was even that animated commercial that never got shown.
Yes. Well, and Kenner came out with toys and everything for
Yeah, the parents put the kibosh on that real quick. Nope. Oh, and I remember my mom being kind of upset that there was RoboCop toys.
Yeah.
Like she didn't mind me watching RoboCop, but she's like, I don't like that there's, because for those, they didn't have the cartoon yet when I think the first wave of toys came out. Because this one I have here is the original one, and I don't think this was, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think this was associated with one of the cartoons. If it was, okay. I'm wrong, but.
Does he have red eyes? Like the visor is red?
Yeah, it's red.
Cartoon.
Okay, you're right.
Wow.
It may have come out with that just so they could get away with that, but like I know it was right on the heels. Like that was cool.
He had like the red visor in the cartoon.
Let's put it this way. I remember that the RoboCop cartoon came out so fast behind the movie, it's almost like that seemed like it was pre-planned that way. Like, it was pretty fast. And I remember renting RoboCop so many times. I distinctly remember my dad going to, when we rented it one of the last times, he goes, "Can these kids just buy this movie?" Like they literally rent it almost every day. I swear I've paid for it by now, my dad said. Yeah. And they looked up the price and they're like, it's $76. And he's like, fuck that.
Good times. If you're still anxious for some
summer of RoboCop,
good RoboCop material, I would recommend the Frank.
Speaking of good times, I do have to drop out here, but
yeah, we gotta get going. We gotta get rolling.
Carry on please carry on.
No, we're done. We got all the super chats. I don't think anybody really gives a shit about Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
He looks like Dr. Doom.
Yep.
Yeah, he looks like as expected, basically.
And no big crazy news over at Bleeding Fool, but we love you to go there and leave some comments. Bleeding Fool.
Go see Spinal Tap.
Yeah, and go see Spinal Tap 2 this weekend.
Tap into some tap water.
And say a prayer for Charlie's family. There you go.
Yes. Yeah, and if anything, disconnect. Like, it's not a bad idea. I know some people, they're just going to have to do that. You know, you're just going to have to disconnect, get away from all this crap.
Yeah.
But
as Cutie Gotwa says, go out and touch grass.
All right, kids, take care of yourselves and each other. And as Andre always says,
koalas, rain, bring it.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koalas in the rain.